Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Victory Monday edition of Birds 365 after the Eagles get their 10th straight win and maybe the most dominant, best win of the season. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
Doing well. Probably not as well as the Eagles or the Eagles fans. Yeah, that was a dominating performance. And, I don't blame people for being excited about this team after watching that game because that was a complete beatdown. Certainly what's a very good defensive team. I'd mentioned during the week, a lot of issues offensively. So that part of it didn't surprise me, to be honest, because I just think Steelers aren't that good offensively. Defensively, though, they're very good. They don't have great corners, and that shaped up well, obviously, for the Eagles. But other than that, they're tremendous on defense. And that second half, just domination. Man, they closed the game at a 10.5-minute, 21-play drive.
John, I don't know if I've ever heard of that. 21-play drive?
Yeah.
Is there any numbers, any statistic you can give me about where that ranks in terms of?
No, not right now. I'm sure I'll hear about it today, but
we'll have Jeff Curl, and he'll probably have something.
He's got the big CBS True Media database at his disposal. But it was, and to the point that I'm sitting there watching Mike Tomlin punt at 4th and 7. I'm like, dude, not like. It's a very unlikely play you're going to convert with that offense. So I get it from his perspective. I get it's conventional thinking. My offense stinks. Let's rely on my defense, which is really good. I get it from that standpoint. But when you're down 2 touchdowns in a game, you got to try to win the game. That was your last opportunity to try to win the game. It's probably not going to work, and I'm like, the Eagles are just going to get this ball back. They're going to siphon much of the 10.5 minutes off the clock. I was thinking 7-8-minute drive. And sure enough, here they go. And they took the whole 10.5 minutes.
Pittsburgh had 2 drives, John, in the second half. 2 drives in the second half.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really bad understanding of game situation by a very good Hall of Fame coach. I really believe that. Just a terrible decision. Not that they were going to win the game, but again, you're out there to try to win the game. And that was remember, that was at the Eagles 46. So they were in plus territory. Just a really bad decision. But I mean, again, Eagles completely dominated this game. And defensively, it doesn't surprise me at all. To where we are with Big Fangio surprises me. It's freaking a phenomenal turnaround, all that kind of stuff. They were only on the field for 41 plays, I think. So defensively, complete shutdown performance, essentially. Yeah. But offensively, this is what we've been talking about. And there's no reason it shouldn't be like this. And yesterday it was like that. The Steelers made their decision. All right, let's try to limit Saquon Barkley as much as possible. They did a very good job with that. And you got these corners trying to deal with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, which was laughable, to be honest. Wide open, easy pitch and catch. And, where was that? Well, it's back. Let's see if it continues to be back.
No doubt about it. Jalen Hurts has maybe his best game of the year. That was his best game to me in a long time, Johnny Mac. The way he threw the ball, completed it, looked like he was in command of the game. What'd you see from Jalen Hurts out there yesterday?
Yeah, tremendous game. So, why? We can talk about the stuff that happened during the week. I don't. AJ says he did it on purpose. Everybody was on the same page as far as getting this passing game going. If I could get into the heads of players and ask, why are you hesitant one week and not hesitant at all the next? I'd be in the Hall of Fame as a coach. I don't understand it. But the guy who played against Pittsburgh wasn't the guy who played against Carolina, where he just wouldn't pull the trigger. you've seen all the clips and all the film. Guys running open, wouldn't throw the ball. And now he was throwing it on time. We've talked about that all season. The guys are open and you're making plays. Can it continue? Can it be sustained? That's the question.
No doubt about it. Good job yesterday by the Philadelphia Eagles, who put a beat down on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Johnny Mac, that's 10 straight for the longest win streak in franchise history. They're about 12-2 on the year, and Detroit loses yesterday, John. So the 1 seed is in sights for the Philadelphia Eagles. They need one more loss by Detroit, one more loss by the Vikings, and those two teams have to play each other. So you're kind of going to default into one of them having one more loss. And then the Birds have the NFC East to go. And if they win out, I think they're going to end up with the 1 seed, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I'm not sure if Minnesota wins out where they'd be. I'm not
They
sure.
would win. They would default if they won out, they would get the 1 seed. That's what I read on NFL.com. I'm not sure if that's 100% confirmed, but I read if Minnesota wins out, they would get the 1 seed.
Yeah, I know Detroit, if they win out, they're going to get the 1 seed.
Right. But that wouldn't be possible if the Vikings won.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But and Minnesota has a tougher schedule. They have Chicago tonight, which is a division game. Obviously, they should win it, but then they're at Seattle. Now, Geno Smith got hurt last night, so that might complicate things. I don't know. They said it wasn't structural, so maybe he's back next week. That's a very difficult place to play. And then they have Green Bay and Detroit, obviously. Both very good teams. So really difficult schedule for them. Unlikely that they'll win out. So, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are in good shape because Detroit is just decimated defensively. They lost, Dan Campbell said a limb McNeil, Carlton Davis, probably season-ending injuries. So tack 2 more on.
That would be like the Eagles. Like, what's the comp for that? The Eagles. That would be like losing Quinyon Mitchell and Jordan Davis, maybe.
Well, a limb McNeil's like better than any defensive tackle the Eagles have. So he's like sort of a combination of Jordan Davis, the player-wise. Not saying 2 for 1, but it's hard to make that comp. Carlton Davis is, a good corner, not as good as what the Eagles have at corner, but a good starting corner. And their best, I think, because Terrion Arnold probably the most talented, but I mean, he's just a pass interference machine.
Yeah, he's unpolished still yet as a rookie player.
Because they play a lot of press coverage, and he's just holding and grabbing all the time. Now, so, I mean, the Eagles are in very good shape. The one thing, though, I'll say that offense, man, is still – they had more 10-play gains. They had 28 10-play plays in that game, losing. Detroit. 28 10 yards or more offensive plays.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But I will say this, John, you always say this about the game, because I had the game on the iPad. I was watching the Eagles game mostly, but I was peeking in on the Lions game. They were down the whole thing.
Yeah,
so they were throwing the ball.
They were
throwing
the ball all over the place. Yeah,
I think
no doubt about it.
Passing, yeah.
And their defense, definitely personality. Got through it 59 times. So
holy shit.
But he's 38 of 59, 494, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, they're still scary. So, yeah, it's very important to get that game in Philadelphia if you can. And then I'd say, the Eagles should dismantle that defense.
I just wonder, what would our defense do against – I know their offense is incredible. They're averaging like 34-plus points a game when they're at home. But, John, the most points that our defense has given up on this 10-game win streak was 23 to the Jaguars. We held the Bengals to 17. We held the Commanders to 18, the Ravens to 19, Steelers to 13, Rams to 20. Like this,
you ain't holding the Lions to 20.
I'm not saying you're holding them to 17, but
and the problem is if you're winning the game, it's going to be like yesterday for about not the Eagles are much better than Buffalo. But, if they start to really play that style of football where they have to score points, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to compare them to Jacksonville and Cincinnati and
No, I'm just
anybody
saying in
else.
general, our defense has seemed to answer every question left. And in a passing league, they seem to be the best passing defense in the NFL.
Well, they have been, but, I always say in this era, good offense beats good defense. So, and they still have their offense intact. I'm just be wary. Don't
Yeah.
stick your chest out too
Yeah,
much.
no, I hear what you're saying. Look, it's still a great team. It's still the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to just, boat race everybody.
They're healthy on offense, and they're getting healthier actually.
Yeah, they're getting some offensive linemen back.
Yeah. So, yeah, defensively, it's shaping up very well for the Eagles against the Lions. But yeah, offensively, I wouldn't sleep on that team yet.
No, I'm not asleep on them, but I do think we're a better football team than them all around offensively and when you add in every piece of the pie. I think the Eagles have the advantage right now.
All
No, I'm
around.
saying as a team, the Eagles are better all around.
Yeah, I agree with that right
Yeah.
now, and that has to do with attrition, and that's the NFL. I mean, hey, they got some bad luck on injury wise. You got to take advantage of it. Nobody's going to feel sorry for them,
Right.
as they run up the score when they're healthy. In fact, people with Detroit are probably going the other direction, taking joy in their downfall because of the way they play and the way they run up the score at times. So nobody's going to feel sorry for the Detroit Lions. And defensively, they are an abject mess. But yeah, I would not waver on that offense. They might have to win playoff games 40-35,
Yeah. John, speaking about Nick Sirianni, I thought he had a good coaching performance yesterday. I think you saw a little bit, two decisions by Tomlin that were head shakers to me, that were a little bit of the old style coaching where I think it shows you how being aggressive at times can give you that big advantage as a coach. But your thoughts on Nick Sirianni, and then I also want to ask you about the dust up on the sideline. I don't care about it. I didn't make a big deal about it. To me, it looked very simple. Jalen Carter made a dumb play. Nick Sirianni, as the head coach, was pissed off about that dumb play, and Clint Hurt protected his player as a position coach. I'm not a player. I never played in the NFL, so I don't have the insight on what a position coach is supposed to do there. In my opinion, I think you got to let the head coach be the head coach. If he wants to say something to Jalen Carter, the head coach should be able to do that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's common for position coaches to kind of have that.
No, I would
be
not.
in between their player. What'd you make of that little dust up and then just Sirianni's performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was a dumb play, and I don't want to.
Yeah, it was a dumb play.
I don't want to take that off the plate of Jalen Carter because that's still the thing. He's still a maturing player, and he's going to learn to be more consistent on the field and not do that type of stuff. But yeah, from the coaching perspective, yeah, Clint Hurt's got to beg off there. You can't do that. Even if you want to protect your player, which I get, but no, I mean, no, you got to let the head coach go. So from that standpoint, I'm going to blame Clint. Obviously, Nick's not going to talk about it. He was asked about it.
Right.
He's going to keep it in house, but yeah, I mean, Clint better be on all his P's and Q's, or he's going to be looking for a job after the season. You can't do that. That's the head coach's position. And, to Nick Sirianni, for those who don't know who Clint Hurt is, big man. So credit for Nick. Intimidating man. So, yeah, but you can't do that as a position coach. Can't do it.
Well, credit to Clint. I mean, in terms of that defensive line is playing damn good. So I don't want him fired, but I did think he should have let Nick Sirianni.
Well, I'm not saying he's getting fired. Hopefully you get over it first. But I'm saying that's the, I'm sure he's going to be told if you do that again, you're going to get fired. Not during the season or anything like that, but you can't do that. Can't do it. But the bigger issue is Jalen Carter. Like, I think the Eagles got a break there because to me, it was a personal foul. They called it, and the Eagles got backed up 15, but they said it was after the punt. I don't think it was after the punt. I think it was before the punt. And that was when I was talking about the 4th and 7, where the Steelers, they originally gave it back to the Steelers. They were going to put it at the 31 or 32 yard line. Not that the Steelers were going to win the game, but that keeps them in the game.
Yeah.
And they got a bit of a break because they said they got together and said it was after the punt. I don't think it was after the punt. So it probably should have stayed Pittsburgh football. That could have been a really big mistake. It was just, now it's just a footnote, but great player, but yeah, needs to mature a little bit, Jalen Carter.
Johnny Mac, yesterday for me was the Jalen Hurts show. I mean, I saw now you can tell me what you think of this. There's a lot of concern, and by me included, coming into this game of we haven't seen this team pass effectively really since the bye week. You haven't seen the type of explosive passing offense you're looking for every week with these type of players, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Well, I thought you saw it yesterday. I thought Jalen Hurts answered the bell, and I thought he showed you this team is more versatile than they appeared to be in their previous 9 wins straight. What did you see yesterday from Jalen Hurts? How impressed were you with it? And do you think are you buying into it as much as I am, or are you still a little bit? Let's see a little bit more.
Well, no, I'm still. Let's see a little bit more, Camp, because again, now he was phenomenal yesterday. But why are you defaulting to the Pittsburgh game as the template versus the Carolina game?
Right.
Like, which Jalen Hurts are we going to see?
Well, I do think the template is neither of them at this point, right? It's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't think you get to 12-2 with Carolina performance every week.
No. And that was his worst. But there was a stretch there where he wasn't good. Baltimore, he was not good.
I think that's fair.
And now he turned. This is more like a 2022 performance where he took advantage of a huge emphasis on stopping the run game, which they pretty much did. And that's, and I said the Steelers came into that game, I think, giving up 91 on the ground per game. So very good run team. And I said, well, the Eagles are going to go over that, but you just want to keep them to 125, 130 versus 200.
Right.
And they kept them to 131 total. A lot of that with Jalen Hurts as well. So right where I pegged it at, that's a really good job against the Eagles running game. And it was 3.1 yards a clip, by the way.
Right. It wasn't, it wasn't explosive.
Yeah. So very good job by Pittsburgh. And, they told their corners you got to hold up, and their corners couldn't hold up. So he threw it 23 times to AJ and Devontae and had 19 receptions for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Safe to say those guys are good. Get them the freaking ball, man. Look at how good they are.
Yeah, and it's like, where's this been? Where's this been? And that's where this frustration stemmed from. So for those people who were, losing their minds last week about, whoa, how could you talk about? I mean, come on. You must feel somewhat silly.
Well, I think yesterday showed how dynamic this team can be.
This is what we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
When you can pass the ball, man, you're a different beast. You can move that ball differently in the modern NFL, and the Eagles did it yesterday. And I think you clearly saw what type of upside this team has if it all starts clicking, and that's what people expected coming into the year. Where you have
this is what Howie envisioned. Yeah. This is what Howie Roseman envisioned when he put together this group. All right, you want to stop Saquon? We're just going to throw it. All right, you want to bracket AJ and Devontae? We're just going to run Saquon. This is what he envisioned.
Right.
But it hasn't been that through the success has been there, but they have relied on the foundation of Saquon Barkley really until yesterday. And I think the fact that Saquon got a little bit banged up on top of it tells you also how small that margin of error was.
Right.
Because what if that's a playoff game? and he's out there shaking his leg and trying to get it loose
Yeah,
in the
right.
second quarter. And all of a sudden, you're playing a good team, and they start to pull away because you can't do anything without Saquon. Could be a much different environment. So really good to get. And look, there was never any doubts about AJ and Devontae. I don't think, at least. Um, Doubts were over the quarterback, and the quarterback played well, very well.
Let's get to a couple super chats. We're going to talk to Jeff Kerr. Looking forward to talking to Jeff Kerr coming up in a little bit. Appreciate everybody watching the show this morning.
If he gets up, you never know.
We'll see if he gets up. If not, we got plenty. Up there he is.
Oh, there he is.
That's always up, Johnny Mac. But I appreciate everybody watching. That's a big win, everybody. That's a big win yesterday. 10 straight for our Philadelphia Eagles. And they are, I think, in driver's seat now to get close to that 1 seed. I think they will get it ultimately. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening, but I think they have a great chance to get it. Let's get to a couple super chats here. Brian Garner, I appreciate it. Brian, your next super chat is everything else I'm thinking about, Brian, you hit on, so I'll get to that in a second. Brian Garner says, 2 mistakes by Tomlin, not taking the penalty and kicking it to the Eagles. There was a penalty there that would have moved the Eagles back to 1st and 30. Yeah. He declined it, and it was 2nd and 20. I thought that was I said it in the moment. I'm like, that's interesting there, the way the offense is moving the ball. And then obviously the kicking it to the Eagles there, John. I thought that was egregious.
I would have pushed it back. I said the same thing. Just because of the Eagles' explosiveness, I would have pushed it back. There's a big difference between 20 and 30 from a mental standpoint as well. From a coaching standpoint, if you're facing first and 30, you're like, all right, well, we got to.
You have plays for 20 yards. You don't really have 30-yard plays.
No. And that's what I mean. You kind of give up, and from a human nature standpoint, just dump it off. All right, let's try to flip the field, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I thought that was a mistake. And obviously, in hindsight, it was a disastrous mistake to punt the football by Pittsburgh at the end of the game. But even in the moment, I was like, come on, right? I mean, you're not even trying to win the game. To me, that was raising the white flag. And they did. That was it. They never got back on the field. I didn't think the Eagles would siphon the entire 10.5 minutes off.
21 plays, 10.5 minutes. And by the way, they could have scored there if they wanted to.
Oh, they could have
scored. I mean,
I thought they'd take their typical 6-7 minutes off and the game would have been over. But yeah, that was a really bad decision, I think, by Mike Tomlin.
Brian Garner checks in again. Brian, appreciate your support this morning, my man. Don't forget to hit that like button, everybody. We should have a big day on likes with what the Eagles did yesterday. Great game for the Birds. Brian Garner checks in. He says, Vic is the MVP. Agreed. Gainwell had 2 great third down conversions. I'm not comfortable with Cooper on punt returns. He took a big hit on the sidelines and the fumble. Nolan is playing well. Good team well. Hit a lot in that super chat there, John, but I think I agree with just about everything there. You got to wonder, is Vic Fangio watch Cooper DeJean get blown up there and say, that's my slot corner. Come on, Michael Clay, find another punt returner.
Well, yeah, it's not up to Michael, believe me. And yes, Vic has already said he would prefer that Cooper not return punts. And Britton should be back this week, so everything should be fine, hopefully, moving forward if he doesn't get hurt. But, I don't think the Eagles want him back there either. They just, when Britton got hurt, they had to put him back there, they felt, because they didn't feel comfortable with any of the other options. So when Britton is back, and I think it'll be at Washington, I think it'll be fine. But yeah, that was a big play by Pittsburgh. And yeah, I'm with you on Vic. I can't say enough good things about Vic. I can't even believe it. It is. It's
pretty insane. What about Nolan, John? He was really impressive to me yesterday. I think he played, 40 or a lot of most of the snaps yesterday as well. He's turning into now a good player. He's not a great player yet, but he's turning into
it was pretty active. Yeah, the thing that impressed me about Nolan Smith is not the pass rushing; it's how he sets the edge.
Yeah,
and that was kind of the scouting report on him coming out of Georgia. Nobody realized like he was a great run defender because he's so small and he's so athletic and everybody projects to the pass rush. He's really good setting the edge. And yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise since his workload got the big uptick and he was really active again yesterday. Defense was barely on the field, partially because of the offense and because of their effectiveness. And then, yeah, I'm glad he mentioned Kenny Gainwell. Kenny was great.
Yeah.
Man, he had that spin move.
Yeah.
I would say
that was tremendous.
For those who don't know Chuck Foreman, I'm a big Chuck Foreman man. He a fan. He was the sort of the first spin move guy back in the 70s. That's what it reminded me of, that spin move. And then he's more physical. He's gotten bigger, and he had that other third down conversion where he just split two defenders, showed off his physicality. And he's a really good receiver. He's the Eagles' best receiving back. But, you know, it's hard to take Saquon off the field. I think the Eagles should, to keep him healthy.
I agree.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm done with the
Dickerson.
All. Yep, I'm done with the stupid Dickerson record.
Yeah, like who cares?
It's more worth it for this passing game to get going and keeping Saquon healthy. I think that gives you the best chance to win the Super Bowl.
I'm like, you know, if he runs for 200, all right, you know, if it happens, great. You know, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not putting him out there to get that record, especially after he got banged up a little bit. So, you know, but I've said that from the start. I would have been a little bit more disciplined, say, all right, Saquon, you get 3 drives, Kenny gets 1, that type of thing, especially in the first half. And I'd certainly be there because the Eagles, you know, it's a tough game, but the Eagles are a much better team on the road. So it's a little bit tougher, and then Dallas and the Giants, I mean, come on. You could be disciplined.
Good stuff there, Brian Garner. One more super chat, then we'll get to the legend, Jeff Kerr. I'm looking forward to talk. I know Jeff has some good stats for us today. I think, you know, this.
I want to hear about that drive. If you got anything on
Brian
that drive.
puts this in, and we'll cross-check this with Jeff. He says, Zander, we tied the Dolphins with the most plays in one drive in NFL history. 21 is insane, but we'll talk to Jeff Kerr about that. Old Eagles fan says, JM, can you ask Hurts what he has against the Steelers? Dude turns into Peyton against them every time out of nowhere. Yeah, last time he did have 3 touchdown passes to A.J. Brown in the first half.
I think part of it is, I talked about human nature versus Carolina. It works both ways. Like the Eagles were fired up for this game. They think Pittsburgh's good. They think Pittsburgh's a good opponent. They are a good opponent, but they really wanted to show something against this team. So I think it works both ways. And they have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin and TJ Watt, and they should. TJ Watt is just an unbelievable football player. But I think they have a ton of respect for this team and knew, like, if we show up and play like we did against Carolina, they're gonna put us in our place. So I think that human nature thing works both ways.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Last one before we get to our break. Suplex City says Big Z with Johnny Mac and the cartel.
The cartel.
Media stirred up Hurst knowing he would throw all day after being called out, purposely limiting Barkley. That's a good super chat right there. The cartel.
When is the cartel meeting? I have to ask Jeff.
Jeff Kerr is organizing said meeting.
I like the cartel.
Some say it's Thursday. We will see about that one. Good stuff, Suplex City. Appreciate everybody checking in this morning. Let's get to our commercial break, and then we'll have Jeff Kerr coming up next on Birds 365. Before I do that, I want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Go check them out. It's betus.com.pa. You can see the promo code on your screen. It's YouTube150. That's 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit. So go check them out right now, betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. The fastest payouts in the industry, 24/7 customer support, and they'll even give you your own custom account manager. So go check out BetUS. We'll be right back in 3 minutes, everybody, to talk about the 10 straight win Eagles with Jeff Kerr coming up next.
Ignite your nights with free